有嘛能kurwa je sana wo ten yin de de tam sai nyam cha la so be de de so sam bi jiang lo ta ya de do je sim be gum de la sa yo ma de is de ten yin du wo ten ne da nga rang zo zai chao da xin bo gum ya la do kha jie ya la de yang zai de pa de de so de ta ma do na ten ne bo kha jie ka ge de wo ten yin du wo ten ne da de de cha ya de do je sim be gum de
And so, as long as we are embodied as beings who have been born into samsara, there is not a single person who doesn't have some negativity and defilements to purify. That is just a natural product of taking birth in samsara. We are comprised, or we possess these negative defilements and obscurations. And that need to be purified. And as far as all of the different methods for purification, there's no method that is more effective for purifying defilements and obscurations than the practice of Vajrasattva, the meditation and recitation of Vajrasattva.
tene da rang tama we zewe je war pende ding de hong le chung do je sem ba gong do ko bos da rang tama ba ze wa chi tene je war ta pende be ma dan da we ding na te do je sem ba ta te skong go he ngo za we la ma yin ba na ba do je sem ba yin ba wo te skong go he re se zen do je sem ba gong do ko bo xie je cha ni ba tu kan zi jian yong chi we guo den ba xia chi jing ji xia ye jiang yong gong be ren bo chi 延吉建吧，些光地图卡里，大卫等于一个这边啊，也可能或者话的，我这样说呢，就是长期长久是把他们去图看的一些对其军购的，都这身边结果那天，都这身边顾康下边切把了，图给的对其军重新下边一边台湾从让生活的马来西亚呢，用啊一从给对着，咱们这样吃。他们这样讲，他们就看到那户那把钱的附近，群众撒欢没被对这看完上了一个，俺的一个叫把女婿尝试了喏。
When we visualize Vajrasattva, we visualize ourselves in our ordinary form, and above our crown on a lotus and moon disk is seated Vajrasattva. So just as it says in the text, you are in your ordinary form with a lotus and moon disk at your crown. On the moon disk stands the syllable Hung, which transforms into Vajrasattva. Lasso. So actually what Drupon Rinpoche is suggesting is that we all read it together. So actually I think yesterday we switched to somebody in the room, but perhaps you can all follow me, even though I can't hear you all in the room, because we also have everyone on Zoom. So what Drupon Rinpoche is requesting or suggesting that we do right now is that we actually read through this together. So it is in your text, and actually I also became aware of the fact that we seem to have two different versions of the translation. So we'll use the one that you all have. It just is going to take me a moment to find it. So it's on page 9, Rebe. Okay. So on page 9. You are in your ordinary form, with a lotus and moon disk on your crown. On the moon disk stands the syllable Hung, which transforms into Vajrasattva. White with one face and two hands, his right hand holds a Vajra at his heart, and his left hand holds a bell at his waist. Adorned, is this working? Is it fine like this? Adorned with jewel ornaments, he sits with his right leg extended and his left leg bent. Thus meditate. At Vajrasattva's heart on a moon disk is the syllable Hung, encircled clockwise by the 100-syllable mantra. As rays of light emanate from the circling mantra, streams of elixir of the primordial awareness flow from the hearts of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and dissolve into Vajrasattva's crown. Then from every part of Vajrasattva's body, particularly from the Hung syllable at his heart, elixir falls in a stream that flows from his right big toe entering your body through your Brahma aperture and expelling in black forms all non-virtuous deeds and defilements of your body, speech, and mind, and transgressions of all samayas. Imagine de chatsang lo ya yore. Okay. Imagine that your body is filled with stainless elixir and say the 100-syllable mantra as much as you can. So we stop there. So he said, let's recite the Vajrasattva mantra, the 100-syllable mantra together 3 times.
So on page 22, if you don't know about the prayer book.
Sudugayo me baba, subugayo me baba, amratu me baba, sarvasiti me baya. Umasuta me zedayum guru. Sarvata gata mandara menamante bandara baba mara samaya sadhu. Bandara sadhu samaya manubalaya. Bandara sadhu dino paradi chandru me baba. Sudukayo me baba, subukayo me baba. Amratu me baba, sarvasiti me parayas. Vakarma sutsa me zizam guru. Vanzara Baba Maya Samaya Sadhu Benzara Sadhu Samaya Manubalaya Benzara Sadhu Dino Paradi Chandri Chome Baba Sudukayo Me Baba Sudukayo Me Baba Amratu Me Baba Sarvasiri Me Paraya Masuza me zedam yam guru. Vanzara Baba Ma Samaya Sadhu. Đó chỉ đang tổ chức xem bị, cũng chỉ đang đi qua là要让米，đi qua là原天米，đi qua là原天有嘛，现在样头要有把这，这个原天一种的，我现在对于样头要有把这这个原天的意思，我现在对真正要做到tổ chức xem把在工地起的，多不些了的，这个可能美国这个进步呢，他特别的意思，多不些可是呢，在我做tổ chức xem把做公庙去了，电就多不起。tene ta yikyan dong ya, tene mokun tu jobe dobchi. Tene dikwa lan joba je ya. Joba je ne ta ze dutsin beb yong la so che ya. Te so la sun ji be dobchi. Tene tata ti ta qin ji liang dikwa me ji sang bu me tata ze ya sa du ta ro re te ta. Yang jia xin nan ji sang na ti dikwa ya an ta ba ta tu. 我的其实他没几怎么样，提东山他有把的，东北多不些了，这所去比多不些了。我记得我的多不些的有呢，这个可能的，呀，没大的有嘛的也种有。
So when it comes to the practice of Vajrasattva, it is said that, there are no redeeming qualities to non-virtue or negativity. There are no redeeming qualities, but one, and that is that if we confess negativities and apply the antidote, they can be purified. And so that's the one quality, the one redeeming quality of negativity is that it is purifiable. And so the way that we purify through this practice of Vajrasattva is doing so in a way, engaging in the practice in a way that is united with the 4 powers. And so it is said that if the 4 powers are present, whatever negativity it is, no matter how great, it can and will be purified. With the 4 powers, this visualization of Vajrasattva itself is the power of the support, or the power of reliance. And then the recitation of the 100-syllable mantra is the power of the antidote. And then feeling remorse for our wrongdoings and negativities as we're reciting the mantra and we're visualizing the flow of the nectar entering our crown and clearing away, purifying, washing away all our defilements. This is the power of remorse. And then when we are fully purified and we think that we're really resolved not to continue engaging in those negative habits or to repeat the negativities, thinking that we have fully purified ourselves of these negativities and that we will not repeat them, this is the power of resolve. And so when these 4 powers are present, whatever negativity, no matter what it is, can be and will be thoroughly purified.
我等那大体的嘛，这种着急在那求办求是，等那都是身边让天是话，这都是身边让天，都是身边各种头他让可能还有说因米同这种怎么样把下过的是，我这同他们都是身边也会是那的，但同他们这都是身边的让 Sam 的，我等那没拉这批种，那么人别让 Sam 的都是干不罢了。那么你别让 Sam 了的，Sam 的先别那么这吧，那是 Sam 的现在那么就这呢。ten de ransen pa wan travos, da ransen pa shal na res. Son do ten du da ransen da, do je sen ba yer mi bat. In batik kan ten yan bat shal gores, ten azu. Dis kan ma kahis kon ja ins. Sen ma chu be nam de, do je sen ba yen mi cha son zam tin no ma chu be nam de. Sam ran wam dra shal na de dis nyam na cha res.
So then it says that at the conclusion, when you make offerings and Vajrasattva dissolves into you, your body, speech, and mind merge indivisibly with Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind. Thus imagine and set your mind evenly in equipoise and then do the dedication. So here, when we dissolve the visualization of Vajrasattva, we think, Vajrasattva melts into light, dissolves into us through our crown, and we think that our own mind and the mind of Vajrasattva become completely indivisible. Just as Milarepa says, the lama gare lama yin gongta
Lama
ira
yin be
gare
rang Sam la dos, Sam le chen be lama ze na. Ten ransen pa shal na res.
wrong sim gare.
Ransen pa shal na res, pa sen na ten ransen pa yo shal na res.
So when the Lama, so what we view to be, the Lama as, a part, the externally present Lama, and our own mind merge, and we look at our mind in that moment, and our mind, kind of what we think of as our mind, disappears, and what we see is the awakened mind of the Lama. Then this is, what is really meant by the true nature of your own mind being that of the Lama, the mind of the enlightened mind of the Lama, indivisible from your own awareness. And so when we merge with Vajrasattva like this, who is in essence the Lama.
Okay.
And so he also wanted to say that, when we merge like this, so first, we recite as we're visualizing in the way that we do, and we're reciting the 100-syllable mantra, and the visualization is accompanying this recitation. We're purifying, and purifying our defilements and negativities, our obscurations. When we visualize that we fully purified our obscurations and negativities, and at that moment that they become completely purified, then this is when the Lama melts into light and dissolves into us through our crown, and we merge, our body, speech, and mind with the enlightened body, speech, and mind of the Guru. And in that moment, so we said, and now we can also take a moment together looking directly at the mind itself without following after mental proliferation, without fabricating or contriving anything, just allowing awareness to naturally settle, to just rest into its natural mode.
되네. 다들 대지를 뭐 반다고 치고래 송도와.
And so then following that, then you have the dedication.
되네. 다음으로 시바들이 다음에 시바라 멘제틀라 니요레 슬라비도와. 니요레 선 주베 멘제 담부베 멘제 로스. 다 주베 멘제 선나다 텐사리. 야 초베 강샤 초샴담 티강 샤샤 데 다티 주베 멘제스. 데
Mhm.
멘제 마차바스 코요자야 사마트라라 샤샤 데 커서나 소진제야 그때한테 너무 있어 소진제사디 미카트라치 고사리.
Mhm.
와도 주베 멘제스 템부베 멘제스 나다 맞아 멘제스 푸그로와
Mhm.
아프야제 여러한테 와든 멘제스 주니아다 베투리르르 부야한다 지나다 주니아 파푸요나 와데 다 주베 부베 멘제스 와다 가긴 주베 멘제나 람도 와든 뉴티 멘제스 진도와
Mhm. So then the fourth and final of the preliminaries is offering a mandala. And we have two sections here. We have the what's referred to as the accomplished mandala and accomplishment mandala and the offering mandala. So the accomplishment mandala is the mandala that is performed or done and then arranged on the shrine. And that becomes like an object of visualization. It becomes like a representation of the field of accumulation. And so that remains on the shrine for the duration of the practice. And then there's the offering mandala. So the offering mandala is the mandala that we're accumulating, that we're doing or performing in each session. And so that that is the distinction there.
전에 다 정보대 주변 면제세들라 손 주변 면제세 레이버 치라스 정보 정말 야고 소반 쓰고레스 티가 낙세이다 좀 차관데 전에 용의 야고 요 말레스 파사만세 티가 다zen 양의 최상 친구 다음에 전에 야 면제 부고 그러와
Mhm.
我提起天呢，就仁波切拿错的储备，学员讲出去过些话，但把他们在什么在当地在提讲过，这些仁波切的储备些出去过些，什么地那都缺，体育都缺一些，先给先不记得，那个仁波切吃，变得点了。为是在为了嘛？在下头一旦下头他让我说是开起的，下头一旦都是上街工作，那不对，
Oh, gongta. So kare rangola, shar rangola
下头
in.
让我开起的噻，下头。
Mhm. Mhm.
전에他下头也他们老工作，老上级工作，我上级的话，那不得就那不像他家不开的话的，我在
Mhm.
厂里干的工作，我他是做公司的，在那在那
Mhm.
公司，蛮多的
Mhm.
他在广告做进度。
Mhm. So when we for the accomplishment mandala, so as it says, clean the mandala rings well. So it's important that the mandala, like the materials of the mandala itself, that they're good quality, and that they're really cleaned well, so that there's not any stain or blemish on them. That when we clean them, we should use water, water that has been with saffron water, saffron colored water that's with saffron in it, and that the materials are, of like precious substances, precious qualities, and the mandala itself represents the celestial palace. So imagine the mandala as a celestial mansion made of very myriad precious materials with four corners and four entrances. In the center and in the four directions are precious thrones, each supported by four lions and with a cushion of lotus, sun, and moon. Seated on the throne in the center is your root guru in the east. And so he said, as you're holding the mandala, the eastern direction is facing yourself. So in the east is the Yidam deity, to the south is the Buddha, or are the Buddhas, and then to the west, which is behind, is the Dharma, and to the north are the Sangha.
我的屋子了，那在那么有些那双的屋子，在为那么我在为那么别抢着，那么多人抢着我一把去的，就别那么从美国的过去了，这是我们知
Mhm.
道了，
And so as it says in the
一档面呢，他下头一档他说从美国的，
Mhm.
我听着这么多档的，也上街呢，上街推中上街成绩，区委呢，他中了上马的有把些，
Mhm.
也根据呢的强调性别根据，因为自己来说吧，当年头根据来说根据上马有把些了吧。
So then when we visualize our guru in the center, this we visualize in the form of Vajradhara, the root guru, surrounded by all of the lineage gurus. So it's like all of the gurus in the center. And then the Yidam deity is surrounded by all the hosts of Yidam deities. And then the Buddha is the Buddha surrounded by all of the Buddhas of, the three times. And then the Sangha contains all of the representations of the noble Sangha, the eight close sons, the eight bodhisattvas, and all the Sangha of Shravakas, Patekya Buddhas, like all the entirety of the Sangha.
我真他过的秋中嘛，秋中送嘛，苍嘛有把起，这他说给哪看我着起了嘛怎么办的？起个话起哪东西没，咱们这怎么当过去是吧？
And then we can think that like around the border or the periphery are all of the Dharma protectors and guardians. Some are facing in to protect the cities, that are accumulated, the cities and blessings and attainments accumulated from the inside to protect them and keep them held in. And some are facing outward to ward off external obstacles and harmful influences.
对呢，但你怕等不远面这，但不远面这，他就是没去这里说吧，阳前一群出门不是的，他觉得他就当那说觉得人不去那说吧，他这样那说吧，他人不去有那说那么说回来是，就当面这在当那说那么说要休息的是的，那说他的他都是先被工地讲的块讲，他说那么说过去了，他说那么说他要休息的面这是。这面这人就呢，说他就要不用那些人不去那说吧。就是碰到的说那么说回来是，但这里面呢，他在看里呢，在按照来说，他碰到马些是，按照来上周来说碰到这面按照上波抽来说，他说碰到这个啥的，这面呢，他就这种，碰到这个是，这开始面呢，他啥都那么一呢，这个是没来我那一呢。这没关系，碰到这个是，说这就来别的的，然后碰到他那别的个说那做出个来是，是也做把阳性假期个出门，出门就下了，是位置上位置上是吧？这下头能爬坡论咱们的，哪怕那就强这么呢，咱们听的更多，有当下去把你嘛。把你这个你嘛，有一趟老比把这个打完，有一趟，他们也不怎么说吧，是吧？我这趟出门，但什么过趟见多啊？什么过趟？他们那他你嘛过趟跟咱们这有啥的？他能从东北的，从东云街是吧？我等从东北的。
And so then we have the offering mandala. So here, as it says, then the ground is of precious gold and it's vast and spacious. And you place a handful of offering materials in the center, signifying Mount Meru and so forth. So first of all, with our offering mandala, it's important, again, that the substances that are used are of like the highest quality, that they are expensive and of fine quality, whatever we can afford, because this becomes a support for the quality of our accumulation of merit. And so when, and it is said that in general, for serving the purpose of gathering the accumulation of merit, mandala is like the most superior method for the accumulation of merit, much in the same way that it is said that the 100-syllable mantra in Vajrasattva is the most superior method for the, like particularly the purification of negativities or defilements. So we want to do what we can to make sure that our substances, like the mandala base and rings itself, is like, the highest quality possible. Best would be gold or silver, or, at least like copper or whatever it is that we can afford, that we want our mandala to be of highest quality. And likewise, that the substances that we offer as we do the mandala are, of like good quality, nice grains and so forth, like complete with like the 6 noble substances. And it is said, that, and perhaps like precious gems, if we don't have any means, then one can perform, mandala even using like earth and rocks, stones and wood. But that's if one really doesn't have the substances. So if we have the means, then the best thing to do is to have the highest quality substances. And then with that, then this becomes the support for our accumulation of merit. And so as it says, the ground is precious gold, vast and spacious. And then we have in the center, we place a handful of grains, and this signifies Mount Meru. And then the handful to the east signifies the eastern noble body continent. Placing a handful in the south signifies the south rose apple continent, or Jambudvipa. Place a handful in the west, which signifies the western wish-fulfilling cow continent. A handful in the north signifies the northern unpleasant sound continent. And then in between the center and the east signifies the sun and the moon. And so this is the 7-point mandala. So often also when creating a mandala, sometimes often we do the 37-point mandala offering. But here what is being described is the practice of the 7-point offering mandala.
다 면제라 대 면제 표현도 다 제단 숨 습든다 이나 다 샤트랑 온데 되네 다 야면에 고차도 봐 샤트 무사 유트라 바된도 야표 거셔서라
Mhm,
되네 다 면제 숨 습든다 다 장가 자혀 사기 보치 조게 메토 담저 장가 자기나 되서 뒤소시라 요 말봐
mhm,
뒤소시라면도 샤는 온데 다봐 드라된 향도 쇼사데 무세 유제 요라들이 샤는 거죠 무슨 소진 요새 대부분 샤는데 랑한테 너무 차로
mhm,
대루파 대부분 파 푸시푸시는데 사이보주 까지 참가 그 사이보주 좀 메토담도 참가 사시 되는 무도
mhm,
좀 뒤에 그거 좀 뒤에 들어와
mhm,
좀 뒤면 수빈 다 담보 수빈 되고 나 수빈 거야 뒤소요 말아 참가 자고도 我这这些，真的，我做完读书这些钱，我让他掐制度等住的下，掐这些这些的，要没得他不晓得他让住多些，我
mhm,
等住去个了吧。
mhm. So with the 37-point offering mandala, so with the 37, one does the full creation of the mandala and then turns it around so that then it is offered such that the east is facing, one begins with the east facing oneself. It's turned around so that then the east is facing the altar as it is offered, and the west is facing oneself. And then this is what is being described here is the 7-point offering, which is offered again and again, cleaned, offered again and again. And then we have in the Drupon Kagi, we have a special method where we offer the 37-point offering mandala, and then we prostrate. Oh, and sorry, and also with the other method with the 37-point offering, then what is accumulated is the recitation of the mandala recitation, of the ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers, etc. And so that is then what is accumulated. And likewise, in our tradition, we add into that the prostration. So with each prostration, we're, offering a few grains of rice to the 37-point offering mandala and reciting the recitation, the ground is sprinkled with scented water, and so forth.
听见他啦，把他的上面的买的东西有了哇，从东，
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
这个就听东西吧，做没些做进点当过来是，来吧，
Yaborkomason.
他的买的从东西过呢，
Mm-hmm.
这推出去了要马来西。
Oh,
장가사
Joko
되게
Jogere.
뭐
Mm-hmm.
사기 보조 저기 메토란스 가게 다 찬세가 말아 장가사로 그래
Rere,
장가사서 되게
rere.
풀고 와
Uh-huh.
근데 뒤서 때문에도 샤르몬데 바 조진고 지금 샤르치네 라노 뭐 차로 그래 어떻게 파파한테 되면 파푸고 그래서 좀 되는 것이
That's test. So the kabla de shar rangola tangiore.
샤랑 어떻게 말했으면 벌써 조진이 된 거래서 뒤서
Mm-hmm.
싫어 파고라 잡시 뒤서 요 말했어
So gaduyena de dendanangchin chagiore.
말에 가든이나 말했다
Uh-huh.
다다데 이게 나서 숨습들이나 담보 랑고 차는 지 아프고
Mm-hmm.
뒤소디 시어와
Mm-hmm.
드레지 파고라 자네 파티 소진 푸고 레슨도 샤롱
Mm-hmm.
저서 뒤
Mm-hmm.
소진 거 파고
Mm-hmm.
다 사면데 메데 드윈티나 사기 부치티나 데 장가 자원데 뒤소시다가 말 샤르테 소진 거 제는 내를 부신 부시 사기 부치요 메도 내르로 네파 내르진 바 푸스고 레스
So, So with the 37-point offering, then the east, we start off, the east is facing us, and then we turn it around so that then the west is facing us and the east is facing the altar as it's offered. With the 7-point offering, since there's like less time, then as it is being offered, then because it's like doesn't, instead of turning it around, then yeah,
some subduty, not Tambon do wrong or take it away.
re
Made it some go what's out.
then ti hakosong
Oh,
ti
go
la
to the
song
Pagoda Papu,
la in ti la
oh,
in
yeah, Antony.
ti dun gare la yun
Doing the Changa Sound to Sushira your mares. To Sushira Medutin, Goraja to Su your mares.
yeah
The shard part soaking round soaking Gidorwa. Do the soaking Girwa. Soaking Hakaway.
hakosong de chushong
What soaking tin do cheated to go to shard and Gores, wrong shard danger.
yeah okay yeah then no wrong la tingura
What that's a channel.
okay any le la
Oh, yeah, Tenet de Paru to Papu Goresman, no Goraja,
lasso okay
Yomara.
yeah so since there's less time with the 7-point offering, then instead what you have is you have the west facing oneself, so that as you're making the offering, the east is facing the field of accumulation, the altar, so that you're not taking the time to make it like have it the east facing yourself and then turn it around, because that takes time. So instead, throughout the time that you're offering it, the east is actually facing the altar or facing the field of accumulation.
他这当恰次呀，他们这地理的，但是听过呀，我们普下就有了。我听你不按照现在搞来七八十他们都你给钱用啊，晓得是恰次那这大的去了，但是怕不去不去的话，晓得这边的这要往地去家过来，别用这走的，他不去的我对的，他就
So he's done both methods himself, of accumulation, where he's done the 7-point accumulation and the method of using, prostrating the accumulation, the prostrate. He finds actually the prostration's easier. He prefers that method, rather than, because it's, with the 7-point, you have to, clean it again and again, and then empty, everything and start again and again. Whereas with the prostrations, it's sort of like you can get more easily into the flow, it sounds like he's saying. And so he actually prefers that method.
어, 야, 든这个啥的，那在为啥他们也边就不怎么说吧，当中看完人不起，就看完这样子，等大概率弄就上边给我多半没把它不是我的那那个东西意思，但我就开启个流的，我在流说，但是我就从不口，咱们的呢，给我这话他多半没把不是我给我，但是间他们就上去特别去听不，咱们的呢。大概率弄就给我这话他接班了，不用些是做了，是打了多半交头接班，Sept source. Dan nyamnyang junji mi bara Sept so charbar chinji lab so ya tam pla so nan ge ge zaba na yong su che dal do pan chou de je ba nyamnyang junji mi bara chinji lab so chou gong chou so nan lu dong chou ge ge zaba yong su che dal do pan chou nyamnyang junji mi ban charbar chinji lab so yang nan tiri ma de
Nyamdu.
tiri ma dong zik sa lama tam pa na da ke lu na som se zen do lama tam pa nam ji nama tamba da ke luna yi som ge ge za ba tam jin bu lo se jin do o tri ba nyam dong de tin go ma lo ti jin nyam tri ma
Okay, so tangpo nga lo, tani nyamdu de
dang bo ti
lama tamba.
go tra se ka shi do ti gang tra se ka shi ta lo ti lama tamba da ke luna yi som se de nyam se lo sha ti sa
That's all. So first, I will read through up to one part that then he wants us at the bottom, the last paragraph, for us to read together. So it says, piled up in the center of the mandala are the magnificent riches and glory of gods and humans, appearing like the 3,000 world systems filled with a myriad of precious objects. Holding nothing back, offer these together with your body, wealth, and the virtues you have accumulated in the 3 times, and supplicate. Actually, this is where we can read together. So starting with Sublime Guru. I think you guys have the same. Let's see. Let me just see, because I think we have two separate versions here. It is on page 13, right? At the bottom of page 13.
yeah.
Sublime Guru, I offer you everything, my body, wealth, and the root of virtue. Please accept them fully. Please make the most excellent realization dawn in me. Please grant your blessings so that I may have uninterrupted meditative experiences. Likewise, diniti yang yidam dang. Okay. Likewise, supplicate the assembly of Yidam deities. I offer you everything, my body, wealth, and the root of virtue. Please accept them fully. Please make the most excellent realization dawn in me. Please grant your blessings so that I may have uninterrupted meditative experiences. So, still reading all together. The three jewels, I offer you everything, my body, wealth, and the root of virtue. Please accept them fully. Please make the most excellent realization dawn in me. Please grant your blessings so that I may have uninterrupted meditative experiences. Thus, think so.
Xeba zorba da, sidine zorba da, teda ngondo yu ren tu gom chi la, sidi tang tang nga zo ngondo tazo, di si nyamlan che ya, ta kare san, ta zi tang nga zo, zo nyamlan xeba, zi ngo chi tazo nyamlan chi tu pian to tabi ya, kare san, ta nga rang zo zi, zi korba tonga me di ria ma bo zi, tazo pa di si ta, ta nyamlan tazo zo kumbi di xa, ta chi du tene ngondo tazo di si ke chenpo cha to re, si tene du, wa te yu ren si gom go re, zong yin doa.
So then it says, thus supplicate and meditate on the preliminaries for a long time. So here it's really emphasizing the importance of spending a considerable amount of time practicing the preliminaries. There's really great benefit in doing so because there's so much imprint and negativity and defilement that to purify and need to gather vast accumulations as we've been wandering and cyclic existence since beginningless lifetimes and samsara. So there's a lot of built up obscurations to clear away. And it is really the preliminary practices that serve or function, as a means to do this. And then this will ensure that there will be much more benefit in the in the main practice when it comes to practicing the main practice, however much we've focused on the preliminaries.
Tene, da nga rangzo, tene, da ti ngonro te, tazo ti shkom gore, stere ta, da ngoji na wotong duwa, ngoji te zidang ta, nga zo gom jaya, so wo te shine da, lang tong nyin zhawo yore, tere ma. Tene du, zo wo te da nga rangzo ti si gom jaya tom na yago yore, da ngonro te ji tom na yago yore, tarong, an samza tuiso shira me du shira ji ya tuiso rao me duwa, tang tuiso tung tong na gom ti si ya tu korwa nga rangzo tuiso tung tong na. Karsana nga rangzo da zi tingzang tuiso na sang singa qingpo yore, bai chang da xiang, da zi nga zo tingzang kaba nzhong, da lo lai nzhong, da zo zi da wang du, tuiso mambo zi terang zho, so so ga li ka wang go so ma do. Karsana zi kuwan zhan ma rang tong, du ting go zi dei xiao de, so terang ga li ka si jiam nang go xira so xio ma da, ga li ka de le. Xeba dan zhui zhen chuo song du, tene nga rangzo tada di siam di yabu ne ma to xi. Sept yabu ne ma to, na tene lu ting, lung kang te la, de wo mi ba. 我听说忙不在用口了哇，我听人家说但吕布说的Sept 的那一套，Sept 喜欢那一套的系统呢，那吕布的这是当的就是偏给的，你嘛个当给些卡拉工程设计的哇，我卡拉工程设计些可是我是写版出那吕了弄，是他写版出从那吕弄个的是，
Okay, karagom
卡拉工程是。
chung.
我的西班牙那旅了弄死，西班牙从那旅弄个的是，弄看那个玩意儿，说在那多人们在就在忙不在前用对的呢，旅不长嘛的在那在用个的，他甚至他是在想呢，我听对的那旅了弄死，开最难的没别，对当开把的，准把的说没别那的是，当开把准把的，他这西班牙出学生，你们来我那用知道吧？我听对你怕他们进军的，就是我但你怕他们进军啊，军着嘛的，我听这送多，听对我让说他的意思。 我真的，但是我们家头呀，没从第新呢，推出第四新，说推出全国民了。别讲这些，你妈的干嘛就那在推出当地的亲呢？他干嘛就忙些是别介推出哪个人哇？第一说公平这下，我们家 CMD 喜欢那个嘛， Karsana around that's a mobile, the Gomchun Maja deleted. This got my juice at Gomjal, Tin Jagamari. Here, social same this follow they want to young up pingary. What is it in my Namazo Sanji to be on this Jana pingary? Or set in a pingary, what in this and this in a pingary attending us with this Gomja to a kitchen door.
So, you know, as much as we can devote ourselves to meditation and practice, and in particular, practicing the preliminaries, this will really benefit us in our entire path of practice, and especially when it comes to engaging in the main practice, especially these two practices of shamatha and insight, or calm abiding and insight, these two, shamatha vipassana. If we can practice these even just a little bit, there's really vast benefit. Sometimes, you know, it's hard to get the time, especially these days. There's so much distraction, so much stimulation, and you know, different things pulling on our attention, and so, you know, it's difficult to, like, with especially technology and the phone, you know, it's really difficult to make the time to practice. And not only that, we really can see the effect that these things have on us. They cause us to become more distracted. Our attention span is more limited, and we're more kind of the constitution of our body is more disturbed. And so it's difficult to really relax and find stillness in both body and mind. So if the mind, you know, is distracted and kind of uh, filled with delusion, then likewise the body is also not well, and so there's all sorts of physical problems that stem from this. So if we can rest the mind a little bit, this also has great benefits for the body. So as one master of the past, Kara Gomchung, said,
Kadamba,
who was
Kadam,
a Kadampa Geshe, a Kadampa master.
Kadam Santangema, Kadam Jerotarimata, on Kadam says, no Marada.
But it should be said that the Kadampas of the past are not the Kadampas of the present. So there's a different meaning in the term Kadampa, you know, when we're talking about, you know, the Kadampa masters of, like, you know, older times or ancient times.
Gumbo, but we saw Siemens injury to go.
So this is like around the time of Gampopa. So this master Karagomchung said, if the mind is distracted, if there's delusion in the mind, then this is harmful to the body. And there are many ailments that could come to the body as a result of the mind that is completely preoccupied with mental elaboration. And so that is why the Kepa Mampo de Nagyore
Never the Zumba is over them, Yabo Maris, Lafures, and
So he
Manamona.
and so he was saying, you know, this is why there are so many scholars, you know, or so many who are so kind of erudite scholars who are just caught in kind of the conceptualization of Dharma, that are actually not doing so well physically, but that, like, this actually, you know, that it is more important, you know, to practice and to establish some clarity of awareness, which brings both benefit to the body and the mind. And so it really does us well to meditate, even if we could just do it for a short time. That meditation has tremendous benefits to our mental health, to our physical health, even if we can just manage to do 10 minutes. And surely everyone can manage to do 10 minutes. It's difficult to find a lot of time, but we can manage to make, say, put 10 minutes of our day toward meditation. And even just that 10 minutes, we can see, you know, somebody who doesn't meditate at all, and then somebody who meditates for 10 minutes a day, there's a difference. And those, even if it there's benefit not just in this life, but also in future life. As in a future life, if conditions are such that we can progress further on the path to awakening, then that meditation that we do in this life will help us in the future. And it also has great benefits even in this life, just 10 minutes of meditation, both physically and mentally.
挺多，你把那我住，不拉的，你把那我住你这边。
Mm-hmm.
我记了，但我说你有这次我记得了，
Yes,
我
sir.
说你这个是，但你把等我记了吧？
Mm-hmm.
当我说等着啥子？你把我记得了，我说你，可能实际这种双标啊，就的你把我记得啊，我说当我研究双标啊，实际可能
Mm-hmm.
我到底你把等我记得了，你这是什么
Mm-hmm.
牛嘛？我做呀，汤是的，什么牛嘛？我做吧的，哪套我做呀？我
Mm-hmm.
听你有的是。
Mm-hmm.
他这里唐伯特了，咱身边用完我这样子了，现在他上通，
Mm-hmm.
你有的送多，对不对？
Mm-hmm.
我现在上通你有的是，
So, having gone through the preliminaries, remember that there are kind of the overarching categories of the full text, which are they're the three, which is the introduction with the preliminaries, the main part of the practice with the introduction there, and then the conclusion. And so, having gone through the introduction of the preliminaries, or the beginning of the preliminaries, then we're in the section of the main part, which has two categories. So this is the main body, consisting of two pointing out instructions. So the first being the pointing out the innate nature of mind, and the second being pointing out upon appearances. And then within the category of the first, pointing out the nature of mind, you have essentially the two practices of calm abiding and special insight.
的呢，他这种多现在啦，电见的，咱上不现在电见他的种啥的，
Mhm. So then you have the two categories of calm abiding with focal point and calm abiding without focal point. So first is the calm abiding with focal point.
的呢，他身边他们几种都上街拖把家咱们的，他身边他们几对人，他上街拖咱们他过来是啷个？他的强求性的，他唐伯特身体的过去的啊，身体的
Mm,
上街他们几，身边他们上街拖把家咱们的呢，绿咱们他这边是，他绿咱们他这，说一档没有那有的，可是一档没那几天中我艰难才光那这种路啊，我这几天艰难才到我光一档没呢。我听的提起我了，那么我会动动，其他提起我那么有把钱呢？他们会要过去过的是，
mhm,
后来他妈的，当我这次拿到绿内从中国去过的咱们他们拿什么的？
mhm,
绿
okay.
内中国来把这是当波特这里多。
Mhm,
绿内中国这当绿内中国是呀，这人啊做，穷人都是集中到家过来是，他都是集中
mhm,
在这些刚来看过来嘛嘛，现在的。
mhm,
这样的都是集中家嘛，都集团集中在艰难这个是。
mhm,
真的，他的集中在家嘛，他可以不么难多啊。
mhm,
最近呢，在集中在家嘛，那真的让出他他电视刚给这长播的去，
mhm,
旅游那就这次。
mhm,
可是他给这长播的对呀，可是给完那这让那我们家头个嘛，收了家伙
mhm,
呢，对对对，他肯定是你那超啥的哇。
mhm.
我的去，
Has mhm,
我的呢，我的这趟旅你中国的，开心那是很多，旅行的，旅行的，旅行的产品的，推出去的些那么多，推出去的，他推出去了要嘛那种，但是干嘛提大家要嘛那些，
mm,
我是过推出开对你们车那推出去那这个意思。
mhm,
在看这你在推出在大是北强的三国间嘛，车上也不见都推出给你
mhm,
们来在其上的，并且推出去
mhm,
推出没写就嘛的。
mhm, mhm.
白穷人没写中的时候，求助是，个大家要嘛是差不多上的，他的你一成，那你
Pachung or patu?
白穷人没写噻。
Pachung. Mhm,
我对你一成，但是你把你们来去想这个是，这样这一单这样你们来去想这面推出大家要嘛这种是吧？
mhm, mhm,
我在推出你这里，这旅你这当中国这种，第交通那这要我的是，可是讲嘛，
mhm,
他那这他必须要要嘛，然后说不对我们
mhm,
呢。
mhm. First, with pointing out the innate nature of mind, we have calm abiding with a focal point. So it says, assume properly the body posture, the key physical points. So this is referring to the 7-point posture of Vairocana. And in particular, so for instance, normally it would involve like sitting in full lotus posture, the Vajra posture, which is actually difficult for most people. So it's fine to just sit, kind of comfortably with the legs crossed, and sort of like the comfortable cross-legged position. But for some, even that is really difficult, like it really hurts their legs, or, there's some physical impediment that prevents them from sitting like this. So in that case, it's fine to sit in a chair. The important thing in sitting, for instance, in a chair is that the spine is completely straight. So it's important to sit comfortably. We want to push ourselves or train ourselves to sit in the posture if we can, but we also don't want to make ourselves uncomfortable, because if we're uncomfortable, then we won't be able to meditate. So it's important to sit with as many aspects of the posture as you can manage, but also to make sure that you are comfortable and at ease. And so sometimes it's explained that there's the posture of the body, the posture of the mind, and the posture of the time. The time is referring to like the astrological time, which actually we say in the Drigung tradition that any time is the correct time, that there's no need to look at astrology, to look at what the stars and planets are doing, because this actually can pose an obstacle to your practice. If you're saying, for instance, oh, I'm going to wait to practice until next week when the stars are really favorably aligned, and then it kind of like puts these conditions on your practice. So for instance, Pachung Rinpoche said, don't look at astrology, but like the best time to practice is when you think of practicing. So if you wish to practice at night, practice at night. If you wish to practice in the day, practice in the day. The moment that you think of it, you should get to it and not look at external conditions such as the alignment of the planets and stars and so forth. So in any case, with the posture, we want to be, as comfortable as possible, but also, the posture should be assumed in such a way that it's conducive to the practice, particularly with the straightness of the spine. And then as it says, I vow to achieve Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. So this is bodhicitta. And it's really important that we have bodhicitta as our intention, as the posture of the primary posture of the mind, so to speak. And then visualize your body in the form of the Yidam deity and meditate on your guru above your crown with heartfelt devotion. So you assume the form of the Yidam deity, whatever Yidam that is. And if you don't have a Yidam, Lord Jigten Sumgön always says it is best to meditate on Chenrezig. So Chenrezig is like the unmistaken kind of default Yidam deity. So he represents meditating on yourself in the form of Chenrezig and visualizing then your guru abiding at your crown and giving rise to deep devotion.
tene da nga rang so te la do te rang du tu ta te la do tene de mo mo ta ta do pa je yang me just ta tang do te dis kon ba ja ran ga sim lo lo da yo na ya bo yo res se on dam to mo bo ju na on ta ta ne tu ya dis on ga le kha bo yo ro la na te ndu te to lo da chin so gom je te tin ru chi tom na de mo do pa sa nam to shi ra mi ba chi ti nam te ne rang du du xing wo la so se me ki ze ke la da ne she pa dis 我先头给这讲嘛，应该吃下是我的呢，他现在点钱他说点钱对的呢，让对的他现一种样多呢，我在下呢，他那什么当呢，他那先偏把这一把马小把钱提纲了，那图他，可是那图图，我他的一个意思，我在去那的多的现一头下呢，每天来趟不白呢，第一次偏多有的是，可是多现一头都打换通的了哇。我这打算通的对这些呢呀，这是偏给的是，这这样可以上街过桥个，我这上街过桥呢，干嘛来有了，就还去吧，干嘛呀？我们俩是有了，干嘛来？我们俩是别吃酒有了，好，
Namaso.
提囊了，上节过头，那么上来通报头 CMC 图标搞来看过有的是，
Mhm.
这一对就说说就用这个来在了，就用这的来在啊，
Mhm.
没关系，那这先列出来，然后这是频
Mhm.
道有的是，
Mhm.
这
Mhm.
是从多天对的呢，他让对。听着在别家多那么心中的，在用那在下在面上，他说他迪斯讲讲嘛，他但是他是有怎么当，他就前来的意思的，他跟我们之间啊，因是说干嘛开始，
Tata.
他的
Mhm.
意思是这样的，是吧？
Mhm. So de ngazo doshing mena dene kari
没看着
de
其但是有怎么的
mikado
了，
se yo sam.
对的，
Mhm.
上对的。
Mhm. Um, so then it says, without harboring any thought of past, present, or future, look at and set your mind on something that you put in front of you, such as a pebble or a tiny stick, etc. So we then the first step here in cultivating shamatha or calm abiding is using an easy object, a familiar object, something that's like very basic and not complex in its characteristics, as a focal point to rest both the gaze and the attention upon, so that the mind is able to become still or is able to relax and to rest and just stay attentive to that thing that you place in front of you without getting carried away or distracted by discursive thought. So we need to at first have an object because the mind's habit is to think so prolifically, to get caught up in the discursive elaborations of the mind, that we use a simple object as something to tether our attention to, so that we're not just in that ordinary habit of following after discursive patterns of thought. And so then we allow, as it says, keep your mind undistracted from this object for, making sure that it doesn't wander away for even a moment. And so it is said that, we take something ordinary like a pebble, maybe like a piece of wood, and this is really beneficial, especially at the beginning, as beginners learning to meditate, because it's a simple thing to rest the mind upon. There are later stages where we use different objects. For instance, after this, then we move to using a sacred object, such as an image of a Buddha or a statue, like a Buddha statue or something like this. But if we start off with something like that, it's like too complex of an object to just rest the mind upon. So, for instance, in Kamala Shila's stages of meditation, he actually states that starting off using something like an image of or a statue of a Buddha is too difficult for a beginner, because the mind won't be able to just stay there, rest there. It needs a simpler object to begin with. And this is why we use something as basic, something that we see, in our everyday life, like a piece of wood or a pebble. And that becomes a very simple kind of, easy object to just tether the attention to.
等你当我做干嘛开始是我们家因
Oh
是
yeah, sorry. So now we're gonna also do that, and you may not have a pebble or a stick in front of you, but you can just kind of imagine that you have one, and you can rest the mind there, just on a simple object, maybe a spot on the carpet or something. Just rest your mind on that object for a few minutes without becoming distracted.
Tachi, then, 어제 당신 다시네 들라 가서 세요로 어제네 단디 비심을 해서 make do 걸고 싫어요나 make do 샤야지로 어제 걸고 싫어 make no 그래서 걸고 싫어 미바스 미캔 간당 오오요 간당 요나 make no 그래서 마가 안 그래서 make 노나 지금 자마도 되게 no 그러 tene sample bo chine ta di gore sdene che ba di ski je mai wa chi da ze ma ran so da nyam lan chi du di xin yan do shu de yan song du tene sem ne chu ma re tene ta mai wa chi ne tene sem pian ma jo wa yang di si yu ring bo an ze gom ja ma to di ska le dan di me so ja tene yang ja ha di si ba jam de yu ring bo ja ne na 嘛，这看这我做起来讲呢，真是广江东门下这个让感觉刚看呢，这的是这有人写对的推出，别讲你们这对的是推出人是你们这你要的这推出恐怕当头是吧？这可是我这边他推出这样修就人国家不抽奖了啊，这边多起来有么的事。我到这里嘛，差不多我们上节期是，他我们上节期是那天呢，上节期是那个来说是那，那么多先别话是了，马球杠了，第一是没说家是了，那么多去不用啥的什么呢，那么多往去嘛，送过去提杠了。第四面说家是那多了，也上有人不那多呢，他在第四个来可不得的呢，我有人不那多呢，那第四也过来是。我在中心也说家是，在俺那些公司的那些公过来是，我推穷长嘛，我推些东西是我在推穷长嘛，我在推些钱呢，这推些钱呢，但我推说人不我说他推啊做可是钱呢，在推说推那个，别家干嘛就是光那他不，这个吧，这嘛是这光从那有人是，行啊，这个吧。
So when practicing shamatha in this way with a simple object, it said that it's best not to have like a white object, because that can be harmful to the eyes, and nothing that's like too bright or shiny, because this also can both be harmful to your eyes, but also it makes it more difficult for the mind to rest. So you want to choose like a simple object of like dark or muted color, and really just allow the mind to relax, to rest single-pointedly, and to remain there with the object without becoming distracted. So that's the primary objective of the meditation, is to not become distracted. And so, of course, it's difficult because when we start meditating, then the propensity of the mind is to become distracted. So when this happens and the mind becomes distracted, then we might want to take a rest and then come back to the meditation. And so in the beginning, it might be difficult to meditate for long periods because the propensity of the mind is so tilted toward distraction. And so it's also important not to like force ourselves to meditate for a long time. In fact, in doing that, that can pose more of an obstacle, because in sitting for a long time, then the mind might just become distracted. And then even though you're sitting for a long time, you're not actually engaging in meditation. So it's better then to have perhaps shorter periods of meditation and to build them up over time. So for instance, day by day, you might lengthen the period of your meditation, so then it becomes longer and longer, and you're able to sit with undistracted attention for greater and greater periods of time. In fact, it's said that here the advice is what is the term, the way it's translated here, is to engage in perfect disengagement from meditation. So what that's referring to is removing the focus from your focal object, resting for a time, and then coming back to the meditation and sustaining your attention on the object again as before. So if, for instance, we're finding that the mind is becoming distracted, then we disengage from the object of the meditation. We rest for a moment, and rest in a way, he said, that is not one that is getting caught up in thoughts, but resting in a way that is allowing you to sustain a kind of open, undistracted clarity of awareness. And then if you try to meditate for really long periods, especially in the beginning, this will be counterproductive and will become quite difficult. So it is said that, it's better to have many sessions, shorter in duration. So that means, you're allowing for breaks in between your periods of meditation so that the quality of the meditation is ensured. So for instance, the sessions may be like 5 or 6 sessions, and they might be for really short periods, like 10 minutes at a time. So you might want to like only start with like 10 minutes of intentional focus at a time and having breaks in between, and then building up the power and ability of your mind to focus with undistracted attention upon the object.
等他在生活起呢，等那个时每天是把亲这个的什么，每天当心中，但这个呢，每天上这类的，他每天在看路都，甚至当心嘛，去嘛的是吧？他先提纲了那样面子，然后当时现在能做那么强的，是吧？他先抽着呀，他研究呀，然后就这个意思。我等当时嘛，这个是，他是蛮把先提纲了没个送的呢，这个是的。
And so it's important that we're relaxed. A very important aspect of the practice is the relaxation of the mind, so that we're resting on the object in a way that is easeful and relaxed, that we're not kind of overly tense in our focus, and we're also not investigating the object that we're resting our attention upon. If we get tense, then, and we're thinking, oh, is it okay? Is it not okay? Is this right? Is this wrong? Is it like what's going, what is the mind supposed to be like this? Is it supposed to be like that? So if we're like applying all of these concepts to our meditation, that defeats the purpose. We're just resting. We're just letting the mind rest on the object, relaxed, open, at ease, without a lot of fabrication, without following after mental proliferation or elaboration.
真的on some that they go to the job they do. On saying that they go my aim but in some Sammy on the dark in some la. Tile carbo zema something to Samsung degrees. In a tat carbo song to say ni me cook cigarette. Antony Maconan ni no not in the dark say or dank wall tile napo zema something to Samsung. Te pa to do that same that penny could do nothing. To do not go company quote of ya. Or to do cheat on the same nature. Near on this penguins.
Gongta, okay, so,
She's on it.
so, pacher de penadinda de ni shorgiona de ni tigle
他是
karpa
广大
karpa.
年人开拉算，
Yeah.
节目的民节目年人开，那民参的这个不是马上是我们的这个是，
Mm-hmm.
我这我们对天呢，俺这天呢没考虑弄这个是个不的，
Mm-hmm.
我这弄到那俺的让大家往让这个那不是马上是，什么当，天主他现在那的里那你看着呀。
That's all.
然后天主亲那下的这些有人做那些你图呀的，这
Mm-hmm.
是偏个的是。
Mm-hmm. So when it is night and it's time to fall asleep, then the instruction is you can visualize a small white bindu between your eyebrows, that is like the size of a small pea or lentil. And just rest your attention there. For some people, that makes it hard to fall asleep. If then it's difficult to fall asleep, you can visualize a black bindu about the size of a small pea underneath your pillow or underneath your bed, kind of just resting your attention there as you doze off into sleep.
我真的他，对了吧？我真的他常常他那说来长播音呢，说光红的第一是搞来卡播音，他好像而且光自己好特别什么来什么样，这里用多长的，没那他这看来的是他专注起，工作间呢真的少了，等这里用多长的。 ngema le namto mando samla tambo ze kong ngema namto de me ta na gon ze ja ngi ti ta gon zo pe che ga le khabon do ta da namto ngema mando do sam sam no yong do wa wa ten ngone sin mando do ma la do te kha sa na ngema ngara so ti namto kha si jo son da ta si da ho ja yo ma ra sam no da yo ma ra ko na ka na karen ro na ha ko sho ma res 我听对的那当俺做的说公家，我对的那在地说哈口，听对的那些你学啥，你就这些呢，当俺做那些蛮几点钟有了，那些的是你学啥是听听那，但听着有劲的在，那么多出的人同的这事情，同学的事情，因为俺同学嘛，听对的对度假讲什么呀啥，这的是你们那几个大的，因为你们那没几个的哈口，你们都我听着强着有这事。
So now it is not easy. People often feel inspired to start meditating and can get easily discouraged, thinking, this isn't working. This is really hard. I don't know how to meditate. This isn't working. But actually, this is very kind of common, and it is important to stick with it and to be diligent because gradually it will get easier and easier. And sometimes it even seems like, oh, maybe I'm getting worse because we have the feeling or the sensation that we have even more thoughts than we did before we started meditating. Like we feel like, oh, what's happening? My thoughts are actually increasing. I have even more thoughts than I did before I started doing this. But that's actually not the case. It's just that we're noticing how active the mind is because before, ordinarily, we're not looking at the mind, so we don't see how crazy the mind is. We don't see how many thoughts there are. But then when we start looking and we start resting the mind, then we see just how much activity there is. So it's not actually that the thoughts are becoming more, the thoughts are increasing. It's just that we're becoming aware of the thoughts, just how many thoughts there are. And in fact, this is a good sign. When we have the sensation of like almost like our meditation seems worse, it seems worse since we started meditating, this is actually a good sign. It's a sign of progress in the practice because we're actually taking note for the first time, are actually able to see, what's really going on in the mind. And so that it requires sticking with it and continuing to build the capacity of the mind to rest and to stay aware with single pointed attention.
我真的他听了很多土耳其产品了，你自己看周围买一把，伊拉没去全部都是是，我在拉说，我听到开始那在拉个的，他土耳其说对莫大呀，然后我们咱们的其他要买的是拉个的，那就他研究才在过买的是拉多，你自己周围去买一把伊拉没去都是是，我就当时呢，他俺买那俺那说，在对莫大过那七老祖宗都在通里面，市场通要买哇，他这呢。咱们那代都有拿在那边拿代的就晓得的呢，在营送的推手可能做，那我说什么，推运咱们第一次在小镇呢，别家说前几干嘛就在营上的，听在这些干嘛你送去给大家都给玩搞的了，我听
Got it.
他别强的说干嘛就在发生当上呢。这干嘛就在这块生当什么？第个搞的第老百姓在打哈金啊，卡巴打哈金啊，等等，干嘛你什么去开始推出做，我嘛做啊，其实推出做，这你们俩提纲了，我学的，可是呢，他的听那多，好像那多是他这同样结果了，听那多是吧？这好像说相当两回了吧？我听对听好像下面的原因主要，我这是我学的，我听对没几个全部都是其实。我真的rodú me na sé la dice. Das rodú me na sé da go. Da ta ne bo pa da so da na de zai an zai ra me la ton ya da mo da ya de xian bian zhuo shuo la si pa da so de jiu bo jiu na. 我的没那些了大呢，rodú他们去了。可怜中国是可怜起点多是就那他们去，就那什么可怜起过是，可怜起那这些没人话偏学啥的哇。那如果在其他人的在什么什么家的，哎，这就用说什么嘞？
So then it says, even between the sessions, do not be distracted by dualistic confusion and maintain constant non-conceptual mindfulness. Focus the gaze along the tip of the nose and be gentle in all activities such as moving, sitting, and so forth. So actually, I think this says something more like don't get you don't kind of get distracted um by like the stimulation of different forms of entertainment and so forth. So it's referring to like going out and like seeing a movie or watching a show or something like that. And he said, because, you know, in the past, this is what was required. If you wanted to go seek some entertainment, you had to actually go somewhere, like go out to see a play or to see a movie. Of course, these days it's not that way. There is, you know, countless forms of entertainment available to us at, you know, our fingertips, you know, through these devices that we have. And so we need to apply that too, that in between sessions, it's important not to, you know, seek out diversions with our technology or other forms, because, and he said, you know, it's really amazing with the phone, like we can get distracted there, glued to, you know, what we're entertained by with no concept of how much time is passing. So for instance, we might be like, okay, I'm gonna have a 10-minute break. And then we look at our phone and before we know it, 20 or 30 minutes have passed. So it becomes much more. And then not only that, but whatever the content is that we're taking in, it gives us new concepts that weren't there previously. So we have all the distracting thoughts that are in our mind, but then if we like look at, you know, the diversions that we have available to us through our phone and so forth, then we have new concepts, you know, that can arise in our meditation and cause us to be distracted. So it's really hard, it can be really harmful to meditation. So it's important to have the discipline to not, you know, get pulled into these various forms of entertainment and distraction in between sessions. And as it says, instead to focus the gaze, so to sort of not become, also he said, you know, if you're walking around and you're interested in what's going on around you and you're looking here or there, it takes the attention of the mind out to outer objects and it creates more distraction. So the advice here is to kind of keep our gaze down, to try to keep our attention, our mind collected, you know, with the concentration that we're developing, and to move in a way that is slow and gentle. So it also is said, you know, to slow down our body movements, to actually intentionally move more slowly so that you're aware of what you're doing as you're engaging in activity. Whereas if you start moving quickly, then this also causes the mind to become more distracted. So the advice is to keep the activities, you know, sort of slow and gentle and to maintain kind of that quality of meditative concentration that you've been cultivating.
我真的俺当俺这工作家，因是第一次
As,
我们想让我们在这每天的起呢，这这每天买起手手先头都起让我们的起上呢，这这。
So let's close then by meditating for some minutes again, taking some time to meditate together. So you can either use a visual object of meditation as was described, or you can meditate without an object, but we're just relaxing the mind. We're allowing our awareness to drop into itself and abiding in that resting and stillness with clear awareness, not becoming distracted.
我真的前两次这趟那来忙起在他忙不讲那其实的金把我想人家没起下的，这工地下来因是吧？
So many of you already have, you know, a lot of practice under your belt. You've been practicing for a long time. And so you have your favored methods of meditation. So whatever works best for you, you can use that method.
야, 되네. 다들 좀 시한다. 되네. 저 지로 지나 말해.
Masola. So then we can conclude here for the morning session, and we will resume with the continued teachings in the afternoon.
음. 네.